8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Competition Plus Power Hour. And I'm your host, Dujane Bland. And yes, Lee is not here, but he is okay and healthy. He is on travel. He is Where's Waldo right now. And with me, I have Mike Nark of Drag and Drive. And he does a lot of other cool stuff. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Man, I'm excited to be here. He had to bring in his ginger older brother.
Yeah. That way we're not missing a beat with that.
Yeah. I just need the sunglasses instead of my regular glasses.
Indeed. And ladies and gentlemen, make sure you like this show, you share this show, tell a friend to tell a friend, and also subscribe to the show. It is going to be a fun one. We've got Buddy Hull up first. We're going to talk to him about his first year in the Funny Car Ranks and talk to him about that cool show, Talking Funny Cars with Buddy Hull. That's going to be a blast. And then at the back end of this thing, we're going to talk to Mark Beatty of Redline Oil. And we're going to talk to him about the announcement that was made today involving the Pro Superstar Shootout. Man, it's been some great news here in the world of drag racing. Since it's been a while for Mr. Greg Stanfield, but he hasn't raced in Pro Stock since 2023. He will be coming back in 2025 in a gray Janik Brothers Racing Pro Stock car. Super excited for AA Aaron Stanfield, and he'll be able to race with his dad. But we're getting another heavy hitter in the Pro Stock ranks coming back and going to shake this thing up even more.
Yeah, so let's talk that Pro Stock. Is that where a lot of the cool kids hang out now? You know, I don't follow a lot of like NHRA drag racing. That's what I need you guys for. It's what I follow you guys for. Man, it sounds like that's a party.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the amount of cars that Elite and Titan are bringing to the table, you know, I know a lot of people don't like the fact that we pretty much got a lot of Camaros out there, but the class is healthy, and that's what the most important part is. And the class is so tight right now. It's sometimes decided on the starting line. I mean, you know, Greg ran a faster time and got beat out because he was an 043, and AA was, I believe it was 023.
That's tough, man. That's a tough loss.
Run a 69, he runs a 70, and you go home because you were late.
Yeah, man.
43 is late.
I was like, that's not late, man. That's early.
Yeah, absolutely insane. I want to welcome Memphis Lonnie and Scott into the Power Hour. Appreciate you guys coming over from the Not Bland show, as we had a great time over there talking football and drag racing as well. And Cornwell Tools.
Are there two more American sports than football and drag racing?
Man, I tell you, it trumps both of those trump baseball. And I know I'm going to make some people mad, but they trump baseball. I'm sorry. Yeah. Baseball is not the American sport anymore. It is football and it is drag racing, hands down. No other place would you rather be than at the track or at a football field.
Yeah.
It's impressive that Cornwell Tools, they are named the sponsor, the title sponsor of the NHRA US Nationals.
That's
awesome. Fun.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
And they said, hey, we're gonna re-up with you, JFR. We're gonna give you a full-time support in 2025. Huge for John Force Racing as they can kind of relax going into 2025. And I know they're not going to relax because there's always work
They can
going on, and
breathe.
yes, you can breathe a little bit. And that's going to be cool. Shout out to Austin Prock. The job that family has done, they pretty much had no choice. If they weren't coming back, I might have to walk into their building and give them the what for.
There's been a lot of folks out here scraping together some stuff. It'd have been sponsored by the fans, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they've had quite the season, and it's really cool to have Cornwell Tools on board. You see a lot of the other tool brands that have been here for a long time, but they're really starting to make a foothold in things. And I tell you, JFR fans are loyal, and they will support the brands that are on their cars to the tilt. I know I did when John was in that Castrol car. That's all we put in our cars. There ain't no doubt about it.
That's awesome.
You don't buy anything else. So this is awesome for them. I'm super excited to have them be back and be a part of the U.S. Nationals as well.
Yeah, that's a big deal for them.
It is. We have our good friend Buddy Hall in the green room. So we are going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to have Buddy Hall. If you need something in a special pump that is not going to fail you at the time of need, you know where you need to go? To Weldon Pumps. Weldon Pumps will pump your car up and keep your car going and at its best when you need it to be at its best. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one of the coolest dudes in Funny Car. You could say he kind of made Funny Car cool again. He is the driver of the Funny Car of Jim Dunn Racing. It is my friend, Buddy Hall. What's going on, baby?
Man, cool. I don't know about cool, but hope that made it exciting, and I sure love all those NHRA fans.
Man, how much sleep are you getting these days?
Well, between my business, drag racing, and a 2-month-old, I would say I'm averaging 4 hours a night. That's about my
Wow.
Hey, you know what
That's
though?
impressive, man.
Yeah, not bad, right? There's plenty of time to sleep in the nursing home, so I'm good. I'll be fine. I'll get through it. It's all positive. It's all worth it. One thing I've learned about, sleep and rest and stress and all those things, it's all worth it. Nothing in life that's incredible is achievable without some pain involved. So, I always say having my son and marrying Maddie were the best things I've ever done in my life. And with that comes a little bit of work, but it's all worth it.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
It is. And Maverick's the cutest thing ever.
Yeah, thank you.
It is super awesome to see. You've had quite the year in Funny Car. How would you rate your year here in Funny Car as you kind of embarked on something new? Not new to you, but new as in being an NHRA Funny Car.
Well, we set out 95%, or we achieved 95% of what we set out to do. Transitioning out of any race car into a big show fuel Funny Car is certainly, it comes with its challenges. I was able to catch on pretty quick in terms of car control. But at the same time, we were trying lots of new parts and pieces on our car. I mean, we switched our cylinder head program, supercharger program, our fuel pump, clutch program. We have upgraded every single part of that car from last year to this year, which meant we're learning. We're still learning. And so sometimes in life, you must take a step or two backwards in performance to go a step further. So, between between me becoming a better driver, getting more seat time, and improving the parts in our car, I think we pretty much achieved 95% of what we set out to do. The 5% we didn't achieve is we wanted to win 15 to 20 rounds of drag racing this year. That was kind of a goal we set aside, and it didn't happen. But nothing in life ever necessarily goes the way you plan it, and the difference between a true champion and a winning team is not necessarily all the wins, but it's all the losses and learning from those losses to determine what play you're going to run next. So that way you get better the following year, the following race, the following decade, whatever it is. I mean, you all got to know, everyone listening, you guys know that, John Force, the undoubtedly the best funny car driver and the best, drag racer of all time. His career, for the first 10 years of his career, he wasn't even allowed at certain racetracks because, he was deemed dangerous or the car blew up or whatever. So every single champion comes from a background of challenges, and so I'm always okay with those challenges, and we're going to continue to learn, move forward, and I'll never give up and I'll never quit. So you better believe at some point in my life when I decide to retire, there'll be Wallies on my shelf. There's no doubt, and those Wallies will say Nitro Funny Car.
Man, that's so cool. That's so cool. And like you've got one of the, I was just flipping through your Instagram. Dude, your Instagram is on point. Like all the stuff you do looks like you're having a blast.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I do have a blast. I live my life like today could be the last one. I try to do that in every aspect of my life, not just with drag racing, but with my family and my business. So, I was raised, and I wasn't raised with a whole lot, and so I decided at a young age that I wanted to get the very most out of my life, and that I was going to have to work hard to do it. And so I work hard and I play hard and I love hard, and I like to smile and I like to make people smile. So it's all positive.
That's great, man. I'll tell you, kids are great, especially at 2:00 in the morning when you're in that recliner. You get that little baby, and it's you and that baby, man. That's the best time ever, right there.
Yeah, there are times where maybe in that moment you dislike it, but I think there are the times where like 10 years from now or 15 years from now where you're like, those were the days, you
Oh,
know?
believe me, I have a 14-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old daughter. Like those were good times, man.
How about it, Mike? It's like this too, right? So, I always think back, and I sometimes reminisce with guys I went to grade school with because we're all still friends, which is really funny, but we're all still friends. And the really hot days where you're like riding your bicycle and it's hot, you're miserable, or that 2-a-day football practice, in junior high and high school, you're miserable, and you rode your bicycle there and you rode the bicycle home, you're like, oh, this sucks. Those were actually the most memorable moments in time. The
Yeah.
real easy fun times, we've already forgotten about those from 30
Yeah.
years ago. I don't even know where they
Yeah.
went. Those memories are gone. The ones that you keep are the ones where there was a bit of a challenge, and you kind of quote unquote broke bread with those people in your life. So that 2 a.m. after working that 80-hour work week, that 2 a.m. Saturday morning, sucks at that time will probably be one of the times I cherish the most.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
man.
awesome.
That is. You set out to do this thing in Funny Car with this team. You tell us a little bit about how this team has grown, especially the guys that, I call the offensive linemen, the people who work on this car and help you, provide you with a car that is safe and that can get you down the racetrack.
One thing I know for sure is I have 100% confidence in my team. That car has never leaked a drop of oil or sprayed fuel on me the entire season or the racetrack. Out of over 70 runs we've made. So, that in itself is a feat for, a Fuel Funny Car team. And we have good equipment. That's the thing too. We've upgraded our equipment, and we're going to upgrade it over the winter. We're talking about, maybe even putting a brand new race car into the stable, and that's going to be a big move for our team. So, hats off to those guys. They're incredible. John, Jim, Jonna, Diane, my wife Maddie. Jeff, Gio, Randy. Rodney. All of them, James, Jamie. They all just are such good people, and they do a great job at preparing the car the right way and keeping me safe. And from a driver's perspective, especially in a Fuel Funny Car, having the confidence that there's a 99% chance that you're not going to be on fire that run is a big part of the driver's confidence to go up there and just do their job as a driver and cut a light, keep the car in the groove, get the chutes out and turn off, and hopefully get an interview by Amanda Busick. You know the deal.
Yes, sir.
I was just saying it's probably the timeline too. The way you worded that is like, get off the line and pull the chutes. Like, I feel like that's probably how fast that happens.
Man, it flashes amber, you stab the pedal, close your eyes, count to 3, let off the pedal, throw the chutes, and you're good. I wish it were that easy.
Yeah. Andrew has a really good question. He said, are we going to see one of those amazing Moon Eyes cars in Pomona?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, get ready. It's a really cool design. We'll be rolling that thing out. It's one of the coolest Moon Eyes cars I think we've ever done. So the world's going to love it. It's a real classic look. The crowd's going to dig.
Like Kenji Okazaki classic?
Well, Kenji's car was so plain, right? Kenji's car was a plain yellow car with the Moon Eyes logo on the side and on the hood. So kind of it's not that simple, but it is rather retro, and the world's gonna love it. They're gonna love that Moon Eyes funny car.
That's gonna be fun, man.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
When will you go to kind of start testing and get set up there at Pomona?
Well, we won't test before Pomona, but we'll be set up in Pomona next Thursday. But we'll be doing some testing in the off season, though. There's no question about that, especially if we get a new race car. We're unsure of that yet, and we're kind of looking around at what's going to be our best option for us to move forward with cars. But yeah, we will. We'll be there. Moon Eyes bells on. You know what I mean?
That's gonna be funny. That's gonna be fun, man. I love it. Now, this show, man, when Elin told me that you were going to be the host of this show, I was like, you couldn't have picked a better dude. Like,
no, thank you.
Just your ability to naturally have camaraderie with the guys that you go to and race every day. Your down to earth and positive attitude. It's infectious, and people are going to be willing to sit down. And when they sit down with you, you make them so comfortable that they open up. And it has shown on this show. Tell us a little bit about the show and how you felt about it coming into it, and what you have, how you felt as you've gone through a couple of episodes of this thing.
Well, I'll rewind back here. The precursor to the show is when someone at KTLA TV in Hollywood offered me a job after I went there for an interview. So that was the precursor. That was when Elin and I figured out that we needed to do something bigger, and not just have me do top end interviews, and stuff like this, but come up with something bigger that we could really make an impact with. And we put our heads together, and we all know and we all agree, and we hear it and we see it on Facebook and Instagram, and we hear it on a podcast all the time that, hey, the people want to get to know the drivers better. The drivers want to tell more of their story. And so we figured, why not host a TV show / podcast that puts the driver, me, in the seat with another driver, that we interview people and get real life stuff out there, so that way the crowd and all the NHRA fans can do better relate to the drivers, and you learn things. I've learned things about drivers. I know all these guys, and I we're always chumming around and talking on the sidelines, but I still learn things about them during that show, because during that show we lay it up as an opportunity for those drivers to kind of talk what they want to talk about and give fans information that they have never heard anywhere else. There's something I often say, on the show, and I'll say the world wants to know. The world wants to know more about those drivers. You learn, like I learned that Matt Hagan started his drag racing career on a 4-wheeler. I mean,
yeah,
wow,
I learned that one too.
Interesting.
Who knew that, right?
So,
Nobody knew that. So those are the things. I mean, the truth is, I could probably interview each driver like 3 or 4 or 5 times in a format, in that format. And each time we could still learn more about them, or about their childhood, or about, what keeps them going. Matt Hagan's a, 4-time world champion. Why does he want 5? He wants 5, clearly does. Otherwise he wouldn't be doing it anymore. So, the idea of the show was to bridge a gap between, the great work that all the people at Fox do, and that Alan does, and and Amanda and Brian and all the folks, right? Everybody, Tony Pedregon, everybody, they do a great job, but they only have this much time to talk about that driver when they're making that run, that minute and a half or
Yep.
2 minutes, and they're squeezing in a little bit about the driver, a little bit about the sponsors, a little bit about the run, a little bit about the fans, a little bit about the track. It's hard to do. So what this does is it bridges the gap and allows the fan to really get on the inside of the driver's mind and learn more about him. And we're not going to stop it. I mean, we got next season planned already, and we're going
awesome.
deep. I mean, we had a driver on an episode that's coming up. We had a driver cry on the show. When you see a driver shed tears on a grown man to a grown man sitting in a room with two other grown men with 5 TV cameras in his face, and he starts crying, that's pretty real shit, right? Sorry for
Yeah. No.
that's pretty real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're gonna get more of that as we continue to move on with our show. We're excited about it.
Well, and I think that's one of the great things. I've done podcasts for a long time, and that's one great thing about the opportunity to talk to somebody outside of that is because you have that chance to spend an hour with somebody that you would never spend an hour with one of the guys because you're busy, they're busy, you're at the track, all this stuff. But get away from there and then spend that time of breakdown and kind of enjoy the company. That's always really cool. Well,
we have, I mean, just to give you all an idea, we have when we start, we just roll the cameras. They never shut off, right? Even though we do takes, the cameras never shut off. So there are parts of episodes that I'll share this with you guys that weren't takes that we put in the episode because the driver and I are sitting there talking, and that's so good that we end up putting it on the show.
Yeah. There's been so many times where I've hit end live stream and then we talk for 45 more minutes, and I'm like, man, I wish I could just hit reinstall live stream.
We've done that. So there's actually those segments built into the shows.
It's great.
Totally. And not only those segments, but or not all those segments are in the shows, but we're going to continue to use those shows or those segments like outtakes, and the off-season. Should be pretty cool.
So great.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Man, it's turned out to be, I thought the J.R. Todd one here was a really good one because he was comfortable. And I knew he had the revamped steering wheel that he was working on. It was nice to hear about how it all came about, and then to hear about how it feels, and then you got to sit in the car and actually, feel it as well. That was awesome. I thought cool? That was so cool, man. What did you think actually of that particular steering wheel? And can they make it for you?
Yeah, we'll have one
awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it didn't make sense to mid-season switch. That's a bad idea. But better yet, put the wheel in the car to start next year and go out and test with it. I'll use it next year. It's a great thing. I mean, everything about it's better. It's just a matter of getting used to it. And that's why I didn't want to make a move in the middle of the season. I just, I'm not superstitious. That'd be the wrong term to use for how I drive my race car. But better yet, I'm very regimental. I mean, even when I switch helmets, I'm kind of weird about it, right? When I go from one helmet to the next helmet, I like double, triple check everything and like fit it and refit it. That's just how I am, because you cannot waste a run because you decided to make a move or make a change in a car for your own personal, I guess, desire, and then throw a run out that costs money and costs the team all the labor and time. So, whenever I make changes on my end of the deal, I really see them through and make sure that it's done in the right timing.
Yeah, that's important. Very important.
Big deal. It's a big deal,
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, there's a lot of great things that I am happy that I've been able to watch you do.
You too. You're doing big things. Hey, don't forget. Who was your first guest for you on a video podcast?
You.
That's right. Yeah, I don't forget anything. I have a really good memory. Awesome. So we've both came a long way together. How about that?
Yeah, man. I didn't even think about it like that, but that is true. That is very true. Yes, sir. It's pretty awesome to watch, man. Like I've always said, and I tell everybody this, not only are you great for the class, but you're great for the sport. And, I would like for you to share with everyone out here of how you stay positive, because I find that to be some of the most important things of life. There's things you share with me, is sending me positive things that sometimes, man, when you send them, I'm like, I needed that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well,
Um,
so we all have our moments, and I have my moments where I'm not necessarily always the happiest guy, right? I mean, but they're
yeah,
but they're very short. And so, my motivation is simple, or better yet, my theory on life. And sometimes I say it jokingly, but you know, I'll ask somebody, how they're doing. They ask me how I'm doing. I'll say, hey, no complaints here, because just so happens if I complain, I'm the guy that no one's ever going to listen to anyway. So I'm never going to complain. Well, I say that as an exercise as well. And that exercise was something I put in my head many years ago to help me understand that the truth is that's it's actually it's very real. No one cares, right? So why complain and for too long, right? We all have our moments, but why
yeah,
complain for too long? Why be negative for too long? Why dwell on anything for too long? Because you'll often realize, if you really stop and think about the things that we dwell on as human beings, 99% of them are things that we can't control anyway. So why are we focused on, and why are we being negative things about things we can't control? Something as simple as, oh, the weather sucks today, rained out the races. Okay, so who cares? We're at the races. We're somewhere where people would dream to be. Who cares if it rained it
Mhm.
out? We'll race
yeah,
tomorrow. We'll race Monday. We'll race next weekend. Who cares? You can't control the weather, so why be upset about it? And so I
yeah,
live my life that way, and I try to get other people to live their life that way. And have what I call like a warrior type mindset, where we live in a world where a warrior type mindset, it can't be sought out through being the best hunter or the best on foot farmer or whatever it is, but it can relate to doing business with people and motivating people, and just doing better in life, being the best race car driver you can be, the best businessman you can be, the best dad, the best husband, all the things. Because we're all built so imperfectly. I just had this conversation with someone today that asked me for advice, and I said, hey, we're all built so imperfectly that the best thing we can do is admit it and try to find our weaknesses, improve on them, but lean into our strengths and just have fun with everything in the middle. So, I just live my life that way. And you know what? Some people don't like me because of that, right? They don't like the idea that I'm always in a good mood. Well, I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. If they want to be their way, they can be their way. And that's part of what goes along with my attitude. I'm just going to be me. If someone doesn't like me, that's their problem. That's not my problem. And I'm always going to wish them the best, even if they don't like me.
Mhm. That's awesome. But
yeah,
I don't know if there's a better way to word that either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's just the truth. I mean,
yeah,
it's like this, right? I mean, in the end, you have to live for why you're here, because and this goes deep, and this could be viewed as negative. So please don't view it that way. We're all like milk cartons. All of us have an expiration date. But the
Mhm.
difference between us and a milk carton is it's not tattooed on us. It's not printed on us, right? But knowing that all of us have an expiration date, you should live every single day as if though maybe potentially could be the last, right?
Mhm.
The next step in that process is understanding that even people such as like Michael Jackson, for example, when he first passed away, everyone talked about him, everyone missed him.
Mhm.
Radio stations played his music more. But now he's been gone for what, 12, 15 years? You don't hear about him. No one
Mhm.
talks about him unless it's a special event. Well, we're people. And, it's sad to say, but, it won't be too long after we're gone that people quit talking about us too. So
Mhm.
understand your purpose, and what whether you believe in a higher power or not, regardless, have a purpose every day, live for the moment, live for the people that are around you, treat people good, because that's what matters anyway, right? That's
Yep.
all that matters.
yeah,
Nothing else really matters, right? A lifetime legacy after you're gone doesn't even really exist. It's all
Yep.
fake.
Yep.
yeah,
It's all made believe in our head that we think that we could be important enough that someone could be talking about us 5 years after we're passed away every single day. That's not going to happen. So just live now, right?
Yeah.
And you can't take money with you. Hey, the Egyptians proved that, right? Hey,
Yeah.
they built all these pyramids, put all this gold and jewels and all this stuff inside of them. They said, oh, they were going to bury him and it's all going to go to wherever it goes with them. Well, hundreds of years later, we're robbing, not us three, but somebody's
yeah,
robbing Somebody's robbing the pyramid, whatever. It's a
Right.
joke. So, hey, live your life, enjoy it, be happy, go drag racing, play tennis, play golf, whatever you do, love it, work hard, play hard, and do and inspire other people to do it because we got this much time. Do it
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
Well said, buddy.
I do have one question. I want to know, what was your first race car? Like what did
Still
you
have it. Still have
Oh,
it.
yeah?
It's a fuel altered. Still have it.
Nice.
I'll never
That's
sell
awesome.
it. I'm not really a sentimental guy with things, but
Mhm.
it's one of the only things that I own that I'm sentimental with. I really kind of have
Nice.
not have a family, it could change, but other than that, I just have really three things in my life I'm sentimental with, which is my first race car, my first motorcycle, and I own a motorcycle that of my best friend that passed away. Other than
Wow.
that, you can have it all. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever it is, none of it means anything. It's just stuff. It's all stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Again,
Right.
the Egyptians taught us that, right?
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Now you got me wondering what the motorcycle is.
So I have a 2003 100th anniversary Fat Boy that I bought when
Nice.
I was 22 years old. It was a big deal at that time in my life.
Yeah.
I wrote a check for it. I paid cash for it. I worked my butt off to get it. And then my friend Danny that passed away, I have his Road King. He and I used to ride together a lot. So I have that. And then I have the fuel altered. I still have it. You go to my I don't know if Instagram, but definitely my Facebook page. You'll see pictures of it. It's orange and silver. It's blown alcohol, big block Chevy. It was cool,
Yeah.
man. I literally wore that car out, man. I wore it out, man. It was all I could afford. When I decided I wanted to go drag racing, I looked at how much money I had. I looked at what was for sale, and I literally said, okay, what's the fastest car I can buy that I can fit in that I can afford? And that's what it was. So
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
that sounds so stupid, right? Isn't
No,
that dumb?
what are you talking
That's what
about?
I
man?
did. But
Yeah.
no one had that theory. No one.
No.
I've never talked to another racer that had that theory. But that was what I did. I just said, okay, here's how much money I got. What can I buy? I want to sit in the middle. I want the motor somewhat in front of me, whether I'm sitting on the side of to the side of it in the middle, whatever. But
Right.
how can I go fast for the budget that I have? And that's what I did. And I didn't even have the budget for it when I bought it. I mean, good Lord, I had a 26-foot trailer, had a little toolbox in it. I had this blown alcohol altered. I pulled it with an F-250, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
I have pictures of all that stuff. I have pictures. I joke around with people sometimes. People messing with me about being bald or whatever. I've been bald so long. I'll whip out this picture of me getting in my race car 17 years ago or whatever, 18 years ago, and I had hair. And it's just funny because you can see the altered sitting there, you can see the injector hat, and I got my cheap old Dees fire suit on and some bullshit white helmet, whatever. And I'm getting in, and it's just I think I had the helmet in my hand. Anyway, I'll send you guys the picture. And I have a full head of hair. It's kind of funny.
That's
awesome. Wild.
But I
Yeah.
had nothing, man. It was a joke, dude. I was borrowing stuff, from people in the pits, and it's just what I did because I wanted to go racing that bad.
Living a dream, man.
Yeah,
Living
no,
a
it was a
dream.
nightmare. It was broken all the time. It was a nightmare.
Hey, yeah, there's nothing
wasn't
like
a dream,
spending
dude.
all your money,
It was-
spending
it
all
was-
your money in the car brakes.
There was a minute there where I was obsessed with it, right? Because
Yeah.
I had no money, which meant I bought a piece of junk, and then I'd race it and break it, race it, break it, and race it and break it, and of course fix it in between, and it
Yeah.
just I became very well versed in race car parts during that time period, and understanding more about how race cars are built, and learned hey, I never want to buy a car like this again, and these are the reasons why, and all the
Right.
things like you learn about all when you're owner and driver, and also one of the mechanics on the car, you really learn to become a drag racer. And
Mhm.
regardless of me growing up drag racing, I really didn't know that much, quote unquote, about drag racing until I owned and drove my own car, because it taught me, hey, this stuff costs money and it's expensive, and hey, put it together the right way, otherwise it costs you more money, and hey, don't drive it like that, because if you drive it like that, it uses up the parts quicker, all the things.
Yeah.
And so my wallet was connected to my right foot, and it's helped me along the way. And but I still have the car. I'll never sell it. I mean, when you walk into my shop, it's pristine clean. It's all the aluminum stays polished. It stays waxed. I mean, it appears as if though it's ready to go to the starting line, even though it's not, but it appears that way because
Yeah.
that's just kind of like And I sometimes walk by it and I just keep on walking. And there's other times where I walk by it and I look at it and I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. That's where I started. I still have it because hardly anybody has their first race car because most
Yeah.
people sell their first race car to get their second and then they sell their second to get their third. And I didn't do that. I just, like a dummy, I just keep buying them.
Nothing wrong with that,
So
man.
stupid.
That's how you end up with a collection.
Right.
I do have a collection. It's a problem.
Yeah.
It's not
We'll
good.
be going to the Buddy Hole race car museum at some point.
Kind of what it is, man. You come to my shop, there's stuff everywhere because I'm bad at selling things. I'm horrible about it. I'm always like, yeah, I'm going to list that for sale. A year later, I'm going to list it for sale. Not that car, but other stuff. It just sits there.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's
You know,
funny.
You know the deal.
Who's the next guest on Talking Funny Cars?
Man, I think up next for, I think it's Beckman. I think Beckman's up next.
Sweet.
I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure on the editing. So we still have some guests left, of course, but I'm not sure.
Well, we've been promoting it on the Not Blend show. We've been running it as
I love it.
commercials.
Man. I'm thankful.
Yeah, man, I am forever grateful for our paths to have crossed. I thank you for taking the time to come on the show tonight
Of course.
and share your experience with us and give some people something positive to look forward to as well and kind of help their life out. You help me out all the time. And like I said, you're more than just Buddy Hull, the funny car driver. You're a friend and a family to me. And I really
same.
appreciate you, brother.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Thanks for having me. Always come on. You know, anytime you guys want me to ramble on for a solid 20 minutes, you don't have to talk much. Just put me on. I'll ramble. Hey, if you ever want to do a show where you don't talk, just put Jack Beckman and I on.
That's true.
You two will never have to talk. You can just sit there, smile, do sign language, and you guys can just let Jack and I talk.
That sounds like a plan.
You ever get like laryngitis or, any type of throat, you lose your voice?
Yeah.
Just dial us in. We got you, bro.
That sounds good. I will be doing that. Thank you so much, buddy.
Thank
you have
guys.
a good one, and I wish you well in Pomona.
Thank you so much. We'll see you guys there.
Buddy Hull, everybody. I
That
tell
was
you,
cool,
man. Yes. One, like I said, one of the best guys in the business. And, I think everyone, if you go to a race, you need to stop by and see him.
Yeah.
And like I said, everybody has a bad day, but like I said, he doesn't. It just seems like the bad days just don't mess with him that much, and he doesn't let it mess with him that much. And those are the kind of people you want to be around.
Having a funny car, man.
Yes, sir.
Dude, couldn't wipe it off my face. I'm telling you, it'd be hard for me not to smile getting in a car like that.
Indeed. With all these people going to Top Fuel, I really would drive a funny car, and I don't like engines in front of me. I don't like things exploding in my face. But that would be a really good path because there's no log jam in funny car. There is a absolute complete log jam in Top Fuel right now. Especially coming into 2025 with all these cars that plan on showing up. So it's going to be a wild one.
Yeah. And again, like I said earlier, I don't follow a lot of like the NHRA stuff. And that's what I love. You guys cover all that stuff for me to learn and do that. I can't wait to see what comes up. This next year is going to be really intense because there's a lot of people that I feel like have been building this whole thing over the last few years, and like now we're fixing to see a lot of that play out.
Yeah, it's been a heck of a year, and it's been since COVID. It's been absolutely tremendous. Like the resurgence, I would say, maybe that's the right word, of the NHRA, the sponsorships coming in, the more cars showing up, and there being, sponsorships for these cars. Like you look at Travis Shoemake this past weekend, bringing out a Gillette car. I'm hoping that's not a one-time deal.
Yeah.
And that's something he can carry into 2025. It says a lot about the sport when you have a company such as a Razor company getting involved. And I think that also is, can be attributed to Tony Stewart coming into the NHRA, getting some of these NASCAR-like sponsorships that we see on these cars come in, other than just motorsport type, companies, is huge, and it is really going to accelerate this sport and the competition in it, because now we can have more cars out there and more individuals can be funded because of these available sponsorships that are, your obscure, not necessarily motorsports. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's one question we need to ask Mark too, is about the availability or the ability for folks that are interested in cars to also work in the motorsports industry.
Yeah.
You don't have to just be a racer to be out here and do all this stuff. I mean, dude, like we're covering this stuff. Well, I don't drive a race car anymore.
I don't.
I'm good at it. So
yeah.
But we're out here covering it. We're talking about it. And there's a lot of opportunities and jobs that are within that. And I think that's what we've seen. I know COVID for me, my dad passed away in February of 20. After that, I was like, I don't want to have a regular career job for the rest of my life. So we started looking towards doing this full time. And July of last year, I was able to leave a really good corporate job. And it was because of the car community, because of car people, and because of cars and talking about cars that allowed that to happen, and it's only grown since then. It's amazing how much time I thought I would have that I don't when you're doing this full time,
Yeah, indeed. And yes, Scott, Clay's car was really cool. Had the Evel Knievel car.
Yes.
That was absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
We've seen some good paint schemes, some good schemes this year. That one is right up there. Maybe tied for number one. That was awesome, man. That was so awesome.
Yeah, he's one. I try not to pick favorites, but man, that dude's one of my favorite folks.
Yeah, and we do have Mark Beatty in the green room. He's trying to get his camera ready, so we're just biding time, allowing him to get things situated so we can bring him in.
Yeah,
I'll throw it to you. What's been going on in the drag and drive world here as of late?
Yeah, we're winding our season down, so we're gearing up. Drag Drive Repeat, the brand I run, hosts a Drag and Drive Awards that's presented by Summit, and so we host that at PRI. So we're getting ready for that big award show, and we created this whole point series around drag and drive races, and so we're going to award a world champion and all this kind of stuff. It's going to be, so that's number one on my mind. And then we kick off back in your neck of the woods in late January, early February. It's going to be Sick Week 2024 or 2025. South Georgia Motorsports Park, driving 300 plus race cars, 340 race cars from South Georgia Motorsports Park to Orlando to Bradenton to there's some other track down there. I forget what it, and that's where we saw last year. There were more 6-second quarter-mile street cars than there had ever been gathered in one spot. It was absolutely wild, man. If you are in the Southeast, you need to make it a point to get to Sick Week 2025. It's going to be crazy.
When is that going to be?
Yeah, so that's the end of January, first weekend of February, kind of right around in there.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to have to do that.
Yeah, let me make sure I have my dates right. Jumping on sickthemagazine.com here real quick, just to make sure, because I want to tell people the right dates. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and so again, cars, super fast stuff, but also going to be, January 27th through February 1st.
That'll work. I think I'm going to have to make it. I'm going to have to make it.
Please come by, man. We'll have some fun. It's really cool. Like I was telling you before the show started, Drag and Drive is my favorite. It's my jam, but it's simply because everybody wants everybody to succeed. There's full on heads up competition. Everybody's trying to beat everybody, but everybody wants every racer to get to that next track, do that, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but these guys drive their cars to the next race. Like there's no trailering, none of that. They leave the racetrack and drive it to the next race. I just so happened, I had heard Lee talking about it a lot. And like I told you when we were, before the show started, we were headed south. I think we were I think we were headed probably to Jacksonville or something. And I'm looking around and I'm like, that's a really cool car. It looks like a race car, but I don't know. And I'm like, God, I've heard of the Dragon Drive, but I don't think that's it. And then I see like 5 or 6 other ones, and I'm like, yeah, that's Dragon Drive, all right.
Yep.
That was cool, man.
Trailers, yeah, there's really nothing like it. Bryant Goldstone is probably the baddest dude in Dragon Drive right now. Drives a 73 Javelin that runs mid sixes at 220 plus miles an hour and pulls a trailer that is like 2,800 pounds. So crazy.
That's insane.
Yep.
Absolutely insane. It's stuff that's not supposed to happen, that shouldn't happen, that does happen. It is. There are some cool cars out there. There was like a Vet that I saw. I think it had its tires on its roof, and it was just amazing to see the different creativity. Some people had small trailers that they were towing behind their cars. Really cool stuff. So yes, I will have to get out there and get out there and make a point to come and see that, because that is the coolest thing probably that I've ever seen. Being able to see that as they go to the next race live, that was really cool. Yep.
Yeah, it's one of the best. Well, it looks like Mark says his camera is not going to cooperate, but it said his audio seems like it's working. So
that'll work. We'll do that then, and we will go ahead and take a commercial break and bring him in. Look, man, if you guys are in need of oil and you want to make sure that your car is going to really be pristine and be protected, well, Redline Oil, that's your product.
Reliability to drive thousands of miles. Confidence for those who fly high. Redline Oil products give you the power to crush the competition and a track record of being the best. Redline Oil products. You push it to the limit, we'll protect it.
We have Mark Beatty on the line here, and welcome to the show, Mark.
Hey, everybody. Thanks. You can hear me okay?
Oh, yeah, loud and clear.
Man, I woke up this morning at 4 o'clock Vegas time, which is 2 o'clock Houston time where I came from, and I've been going at it, and I cannot win the battle with this camera on my computer. It's just like, okay, I wave the white flag, I give up. So sorry about that, but
hey, and the sad part is
thanks for having this black screen on your podcast with my name at the bottom of. That's the best I've looked all day long.
I was going to say the sad part is you don't have a face for radio. You have a face for video, man.
Man, I'm feeling my age is showing. So sorry about that, but it was cool. So how y'all doing? Good.
Doing great, man. Doing great. You guys seem to have had one heck of a day here. Big announcement here at the SEMA show. You guys being the sponsor for the Pro Superstar Shootout. Could you give us kind of, tell us about how this all came about to where you guys could be partnered with this really cool event?
I tell you what, we were involved in it last year, their inaugural year. And when we were talking in the press conference, I was kind of laughing and telling everybody, it's like, look, you know what, I'm really old, and I've been going to race events, since I was 14 years old. And so when you kind of get to a point where let's face it, I see a lot of people talking all the time that, drag racing is sometimes not really known for a spectator sport, right? It's kind of more participant driven and stuff like that. So kind of been there, done that, seen that all. And then I went down to the Pro Superstar Shootout race last year in Bradenton. And from the second I walked through the gates of that place, it was amazing. I had Art Kendrick with me, who's our performance sales director. And I looked at Art and I'm like going, dude, I don't know. I'm too old to have goosebumps on my arm walking into a drag race, right? There was just something about it. the feel, the energy, the uniqueness. I mean, they always say all the time it was a really big wedding in a small church, because the Bradenton track, I love that track. Those guys do such a great job down there. But you start bringing in all these NHRA Nitro pros and stuff them into that track. It was one of those deals where, as a brand, right? As a brand, there's only so many times that you could stand on a particular soapbox and shout and yell and talk about things, and then the message kind of gets stagnant. This event gave a soapbox that we had never stood on before. And so when the opportunity came up to be a part of it in this year, to me, it's like, it's a no-brainer. When I look at say the race in Vegas, just this past weekend, and say, for example, you look in Top Fuel, there's 19 cars, that were at that race, and 10 of them are Redline Oil cars.
Wow.
And stuff. And so obviously it's where our customer is. It's where we're part of. So when we have the opportunity to support something that they're all doing, something that they believe in, it's an honor. I mean, it's an honor, and it's just really cool to be a part of that and to support that. And so we're very lucky.
Yeah, that's really great. And I was just looking at the dates, February 2nd through
6 through 8.
8th. Man, that's a great weekend. There's a lot of folks that are north of the Georgia line there that will be in winter, and so they'll get to come down there and kind of enjoy it. And that's part of that's part of the country where it's going to be cool at night, which means cars are going to go real, real fast.
Yeah. It's like Tasca last year down there, when he turned on that 340 and change. I happened to be in that session. They had like a 3-story deal set up down at the finish line, to where you could walk up top. And I happened to be standing up there and just talking with some other folks or whatever. And you're kind of talking in between things, and Tasco starts running or whatever, and you're kind of watching and going, man, he's going fast. Then we saw that scoreboard light up, and we're like going, yeah, did we really just see that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that history in the making right there? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you go to so many drag races like I do or whatever, you don't see that, or you don't say that very often. It's like, wow, did I just see that? And stuff. So it was just one of those moments that made us all laugh or whatever, that we really appreciated. And so, this morning we kicked things off, and we had Krista Baldwin, kind of opened up the press conference and talked a little bit, and then we had Paul Lee, the McLeod Funny Car. I mean, everybody knows Paul or whatever. And Paul did a wonderful job today talking about the core reason behind things and the core things that the pro organization is doing. I mean, obviously, Paul is a phenomenal businessman and just a great guy. And so then we had Sean Reed, and Sean Reed didn't participate last year. It's like, we bumped into Sean Reed last year at the PRI show, and he came up to me and says, "Hey, Mark, I'm going to start a Top Fuel team, and want to know what's it take to get on Team Redline Oil." And then he manages to tell me the next breath, says, "But just so you know, I don't even have a screwdriver yet." I mean, he had nothing. He had nothing at the PRI show, so he didn't get it put together in time for the pro shootout last year, obviously, or whatever. So he talked about his journey and how excited he is this year, and then we had Jasmine Salinas, there and spoke as well or whatever. And if you follow NHRA drag racing, doesn't take a lot to figure out that Jasmine Salinas is going to be an incredibly bright star. And so watching her, start to glow and start to grow and things like that, it's once again, I've got the greatest front row seat in the sport of drag racing with these people. And it's just really cool to be a part of it. So it was awesome. I mean, we're really, really excited for them, and we're excited for us.
Well, that leads me into who you got. Who's going to win it all, man?
Oh man,
put you on this.
No, dude. The tough thing about that is that okay. So the teams last year, they could go down there and they actually could test for like 3 days before the event, which they never do. And then they have those 3 qualifying shots in one day and stuff. But it's like you don't know who's really in test mode and who's really in race mode and who's really in anything. And that's the beauty of it, right? I mean, it's like, how do you not think that, the JFR cars, one of them is, probably going to win this or probably, but I don't know, because it's like, what if they're testing something? What if they're doing this? What if they're doing that? Yep. And then all of a sudden, the beauty of it is like a Bob Bodie can come out of nowhere, or something like that. So yeah, I don't, Mike, that's a great question, and I'm not, the only thing I care about is I just want Team Redline Oil in the winner's circle. Whoever, I don't care. I don't care.
Now, Mark, you guys really market extensively, and really unlike any other oil company. Why is that?
I'm a firm believer. I think the success of any brand out there is that it doesn't matter what I say, right? So it's like if we were doing this interview and you ask a question, Mark, what makes Redline Oil so great? Of course I'm going to come up with some canned answer, and we do this, because it's not like I'm going to say, yeah, we're just so, but there's 5 or 6 people better, right? So it doesn't matter who you're interviewing. They're going to say, we're the best, right? That's their job, and that's a beautiful thing. But see, my philosophy is those words, if they come out of my mouth as brand manager or brand director, one of my favorite sayings is real knows real. Real people out there know that, well, that of course that's what Mark's going to say, right? So what I try and do, it's like, look, I'm going to lift up teams. I'm going to lift up racers. I'm going to lift up people around us, and I'm going to let them be our voice, because one racer can walk in the back door of a trailer of another racer, or one racer can go into a dyno room of an engine builder, and they can have the conversations that I can't, because of course, as soon as I start talking, oh yeah, well, you're just the sales guy, type, and I'm not, but I get it, right? Because we've all heard that deal. So my philosophy has always been, I want to lift up the teams. I mean, today at the SEMA show, for example, we had a different person signing autographs every hour on the hour. Okay. Wow. And so what that allows me to do is I printed t-shirts for them to sign, and they all brought their hero cards. But my goal is, and a lot of these people are superstars anyway, so I'm not trying to pretend that we're anything special, but I want to put them front and center at the SEMA show and give them the opportunity to feel like there's something and do something that they need to do. When they're signing their hero cards, guess what? They got every other sponsor they have on that race car on that hero card. So they're handing out their hero cards in my booth, but they're lifting up all of their other sponsors as well. It's so much bigger than just us, right? I mean, right. We raise up, and I'm such a firm believer in that it's like, I get it. My job is to promote Redline Oil. That's why I get paid, right? But I just refuse to do it the traditional way. We have to help one another. And if I treat them well, the next time that racer walks in the back door of their trailer and they're saying, hey, I'm having issue with this, or I'm having issue with that, that racer is going to say, hey, I got some stuff I want you to try. Here you go. And it's like, I can't buy that advertising anywhere. How much money am I going to spend, or where am I going to spend it to earn that? Yeah. Real knows real. That real racer talked to the other real racer and got what we needed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
anyway.
And one thing you guys do a really good job of is obviously you're not just drag racing. That's what we talk about a lot
Well,
here,
yeah.
but everything, motorcycles, jet skis, boats, anything that's got an engine and probably more. You guys have stuff for it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've got, I've got a road race BMW in our SEMA booth. James Clay, excuse me, owns Bimmer World in Virginia. World renowned. I mean, if you want a racing BMW or performance BMW, it's all about James Clay and Bimmer World. He has you covered, and so we had a huge presence in the road race world. I had Dominic Scelzi, Gary Scelzi's son, signing autographs today. Huge sprint car guy on the West Coast. Jimmy Owens, probably one of the most well-known modified dirt track guys there is in the Southeast region. And so, yeah. And then we have a whole series in the power sports side of things. So, it's like I tell my wife all the time where, like she looks at me like I'm mental, because I am, but that's why I work 75 hours a week.
Yeah.
Right. When it comes to that one-man band and stuff, and we try and support and lift up racers across all deals. I mean, yeah, I get ragged all the time by some people. It's like, well, how come you do so much in drag racing? I get it. You know what? I like drag racing. I'm a drag race guy. but it's like we say, and I'm gonna plug Buddy Mike, that's on this deal or whatever. Drag racing is easy because of what Bobby Bennett at Competition Plus does, and some of the other ones. They're a unified voice across all of drag racing, right? They're not just focused on one. Michael Nark, I say it all the time. Dude, you have nailed it, because you're creating a unified voice against all four, I should say, not against, for all drag and drive events.
I appreciate that.
And so as a brand, those are the things that make it easy for us. So I wish some other forms of motorsports and power sports would see that and figure out how to unify themselves. But until then, we're gonna play it all. The Arena Cross Series just kicked off. We're title sponsor for an Arena Cross Series that runs in the Southeast, and then the GT Arena Cross Series kicks off soon. In the Kansas City area, we're the official oil of that. So, all those indoor motorcycle guys and gals, they're about to go freaking crazy, and they're so much fun to watch. So, yeah, we got a lot of junk going on. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like you guys are really busy. And I have to agree. You don't have to sell the product, because I think the product sells itself.
Yeah.
My mom uses it. I've used it. It is, I don't think you guys can get any better than that. Especially what it does for your engine as well. Like all the pluses that you want in an oil is right there. Sure, is it a little expensive? Yes, but you know what? It's going to save you down the road from having to take your car to the maintenance shop because you use some cheap brand of oil. It is that good. I've seen it. I've seen it with engines. I've seen how it kind of polishes it and protects it. It's amazing what that stuff does. So they don't have to sell it. It sells itself.
Maybe we lost him.
We lost him.
To figure it out. I did have a question there for him though, but and I'll look it up here in a second. But listen, if you guys are at SEMA or going to be at PRI, you got to look up Mark and the team at the Redline Oil Boost. Man, it's really he's a fun dude, and him and I talk often about stuff. He's so smart in the community, and when if we get him back, I definitely want to ask about. We talked earlier about some of the job creation that's in the
there he is.
area. Oh, hey, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, that's all right.
It's all good.
Welcome to Hotel Internet.
Yeah, right. Well,
right.
Can you tell everybody what booth number you're in at SEMA, and then do you know what it is for PRI?
Central Hall SEMA show 22933, and PRI. No. this morning I might have known. Right now, no, I don't.
I can understand that.
Well,
I'm putting that in the comments for folks that may have missed it there.
Yeah, that'll work.
And the fun thing is, you know what, I appreciate what you said, you know, kind of when you're talking about oil and red line, you know, we know who we are, right? And we
Right.
don't try and be everybody's answer to everything. You know, we have elected that every single one of our oils is a true full synthetic. It's all PAO ester based, period. We don't start with any group 3 and add a bunch of additives and call it synthetic, that, you know, stuff like that. And so there's a lot of other oils out there that are really, really good. I mean, obviously, do we believe in ours? Yeah, because if we didn't, we would change our formula, right?
Right.
And stuff. But we don't. We know we're not everything for everybody, and that's okay. Because you're right. Are we expensive? Yeah, we are. You know, we know that. I mean, it's not because we want to be. It's just because the stuff we put in a bottle, it happens to be expensive, you know, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And that's
course.
just kind of the direction that you know we've always tried to be and tried to stay and stuff. So, like I said, I truly appreciate the kind words and stuff. But yeah, lots of good stuff out there.
Yeah. I got one last one for you. You know, what can people do who would like to be a part of the Red Line Oil team? How can they go about doing that and, you know, kind of pitching themselves to be able to be a part of the Red Line Oil team?
Okay. Michael, first off, booth 1806 at PRI. See, it just took me a little PRI 1806. I think it's the same spot I was in last year.
Nice.
And,
We'll be
and
by there.
yeah, and thank you for asking that question. So if you go to redlineoil.com, website's redlineoil.com, and you scroll down to the bottom, there's the word sponsorship. Click on the word sponsorship and you fill out that application. Okay. Normally, I shut that application process off on October 31st because it gives me enough time to process it. I have extended it. It is open until the 10th of this month. So people have until the 10th of this month. Go to redlineoil.com, down at the bottom, click on sponsorship, fill out the application. I do check. I mean, obviously, you know, things I ask for is I ask for links to social media and things like that. So I definitely check to make sure a person's active, make sure a person's doing things or whatever. We offer multiple levels of support that we do for teams or whatever. I'm very, very old school. Don't want to take up a lot of your time, but I'm very old school. And in a previous life, you know, I had a good businessman teach me something that his famous words were, "I do business with those that do business with me." And so I'm not going to lie. If I look at somebody's social media and say they've been buying or using brand X on their car forever and ever and ever and ever, and all of a sudden it's like maybe X dropped them and they want to apply for Red Line Oil because they're just looking for the next person in line to give them product at a discount, you're probably not going to get, you know, a lot. You know, I'm sorry. We'll start small, you know, and maybe build a relationship and work on things and stuff like that. Because I'm really big on that, you know, because I believe racers really believe in what they're doing and they pour their heart and soul into their racing. I never want to squish that or whatever, but I just tell everybody, if you apply, it's like, yeah, I'm going to check, you know, and I'm going to look, you know, and stuff. So it's just good business, right?
Right.
Yeah,
definitely.
Because I'm going to lift you up thinking that you're going to lift me up. But if you're not brand loyal or don't appear to be brand loyal previously, then you're probably not going to be brand loyal to me. And so it's like, I'll just approach it a little bit more cautiously.
Yeah, that's completely understandable. And a lot of times, like, you know, if you had an oil sponsor before and you change now, you got to have a great story of why. It can't just be,
Definitely.
these guys answered the application, you know?
Yeah. Well, they dropped us, so I just looking for you. You know, and I hear a lot of stuff. And once again, I don't mean to talk like I'm talking down about that. I fully understand stuff happens or whatever,
Right.
but I have a job to do, you know, and I take my job seriously. So we just grow together on things or whatever. So
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Might see me reach out for a sponsorship for the Not Bland show.
Oh, okay. I'm down for anything, you know. I'm,
Right.
I'm good. I'm good with anything. So yeah,
Sounds good.
I love what you guys do. You know, Mike. I'm a huge fan, and
I appreciate that.
I love the show and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm always here to help and do anything I can.
Mark, we appreciate you taking the time to come on this show. I know it's been a long day for you,
Oh, man.
and we definitely thank you for taking the time and coming on, talking about your brand, talking about the Pro Superstar Shootout, and your brand's love for drag racing. Really, really appreciate that.
And thank you both, man. Really appreciate you guys a lot. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks, Mark.
You too.
Man, I can't wait to hang out with him at PRI.
Yeah, Mark Beatty was a great guest. Learned a lot about Redline Oil. I have the Not Bland show, and looking to try to push a little bit harder here in 2025. We were able to have, we have Drag Race Bracket Bonanza as our sponsor, and would like to grow that as well. Kind of help us to maybe get to a few more events, and help us bring better coverage to the fans as well. So, the plus side for me is that not only do your ads run during drag racing season, but we also run those during football season. So you're getting the best of both worlds, whether we're doing a basketball show, whether it's NBA, WNBA, whether it's the UFL or the NFL, those ads will be running. So every fan will be touched by you being a sponsor of the Not Bland show. So a lot of pluses.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, one thing that's really neat, as we move into like what we would consider used to be the off season, drag racing, like people didn't race in the winter, all the coverage is now. I take it that you live in Georgia, somewhere down there, southeast part of the country. Man, you guys are just getting ramped up. There's a lot of stuff that's coming that's down that way that could be a blast. I wish flights were cheaper from Northwest Arkansas to that part of the country.
I'm telling you, flying is not fun anymore. It just isn't.
Well, I don't know if I'm wider or if the seats are narrower, but I feel like I used to have more space.
They're stacking folks in there. I want to say hello to people in the comments. Andrew had a interesting question. I don't know much about this, but
man, it was brutal. It was brutal watching World Cup. World Cup finals was this last weekend in Maryland, and that's where records are set typically for outside of NHRA type stuff. And so many cars tore stuff up. So many cars exploded engines. Engines were in half. Cranks on the ground.
Good Lord!
All kinds of really fun stuff. But that's what happens when you're at that level, and there's so many teams that have to run that fast to even be qualified to race at World Cup. And then they get up there to win your class. You're on the ragged edge. You're talking 2,500 horsepower, 4-cylinder Hondas, front wheel drive, trying to take on something like Nicole Elf, you know what I mean? In her extreme front wheel drive car. That car was never made for that, but they're pushing that 1,500 horsepower out of, 2 liters. It's 2 liters and 2,000 horsepower. So it's intense.
Maxing them out. And that is a great track. That's my home track, MIR.
That's awesome.
And that's a really good track. And the weather was really good that weekend. They were pushing them to the max. Like Dave said, everyone's pushing it to the limit. And sometimes you reach that limit and more.
And again, that's part of drag racing. But man, I hope that people tipped the track crew, because man, they had some big time. Memphis Lonnie there says somebody needs to invent a new form of rear end absorbent to quicken up cleanups. Man, that is a struggle. Like that gear oil that is used in those is so thick the properties it needs would be so hard to duplicate in something that's easy to clean up. But
Yeah.
They've had a run of it in NHRA, but before that, like, how many times had that happened?
Yeah, not
I don't
very
know.
much outside of we had a couple of Lucas Oil cars put gear oil on the track, but like, you know, from what I understand and have been told by talking to a few people with the teams, that this is a manufacturer problem.
That's
something
tough.
Something with the parts, a problem that is causing this issue, because it's not just one team. You know, it's in apparently you know, had Dave W on the show today, and it hit people in testing as well. So this is a problem, and you know, when you look at, you've got Pomona next weekend. If folks have a bunch of parts that are bad and it's spread among a bunch of teams, you can't make enough parts or get enough parts for all these teams to re-up. So we could legitimately possibly see somebody grenade another rear end in Pomona. Could cost somebody a shot at having a shot that maybe getting a championship and maybe in that championship run. I hate to see that happen, but right now we're so close that there's no really going and running and trying to get new parts out to all these teams. It's just not enough time.
Well, and Dave has a great suggestion there. He says, how about a rear end diaper, just like the oil pan and blowers? That's, to be honest, it's probably the solution for now until, you know, the end of the next event. And then they'll figure something out over the winter.
Yeah, that is a very good idea. Because right now we know that they work very well. I mean, we've seen some motors grenade here, and with these systems that they have now, it pretty much keeps the majority of the oil and liquid off the racetrack. So we know that those work really well, and that to me is the next step, at least until you can kind of get that issue under control. Because I mean, really, honestly, that happens. I don't even know if I've ever remember any fuel car, you know, blowing a rear end here at all, honestly, especially in this age of 2000s type racing.
Yeah. Well, and that's a struggle too. Like, do you begin looking at stuff like that? Now we're adding weight, so now we need to cut weight other places. You know, something's always going to break somewhere. But I think in the day and age of where we're watching a lot of TV that is already edited down and taking those times out, when you start watching a live event on TV at your house, you realize, man, I should have went to the track.
Yeah.
You would have just gotten up and went to the pits.
Yeah.
Like, you'd have blown something up and you'd be like, I'm going to go look at cars. But if you're at home, which that's, so I do a lot of social media work with Tulsa Raceway Park, and that's what we struggle with. You know, folks always ask if an event is going to be live streamed. And while it's great, we love live streaming and showing people all the stuff. And Midwest Drag Race Series does a great job with their live stream on Flow. And you do all that. But at the same time, like, if it was too boring on the track and something blew up, those folks are at home. They're changing the channel. But if you're on the track and you spent that $20 to get in the gate, dude, you're going to talking to a racer.
Exactly. Because
get out there, go to events, go to tracks.
Yeah, they need that. These tracks need the support. That's how they stay alive. That's how they, don't have to, think about, well, I might go ahead and sell it to this developer because I need the money and because I'm losing money because people aren't coming out to the racetrack. It's not benefiting. But I do like how these racetracks and these track managers are really starting to understand that they really have a multi, use for that particular venue. It's not just a racetrack. You can have other things that make money and that make sense for the track and bring people to the track, for other events. So I find that to be the forward thinking in that department is really going to help a lot of tracks out too. But yes, when they have events, if you can go, you should be there. If you're cross country, we get it. But man, if you're anywhere in rocks, throwing a rock, I mean, you gotta get up and go, because you're right. If there's a 2-hour delay, like there was this past weekend for that gear oil, well, I'm just gonna go outside and wash my car.
That's right. That's right. Or you're flipping over I don't watch stick and ball sports. I told you that.
Right.
For you're just flipping over to the ball game, whatever ball game you're into or is on, you're flipping to that, And so as drag racing fans, man, we got to go support these guys. And, there's nothing like walking up to a racer and taking a picture of their car and asking them, man, what setup is that? What engine, what trans, what ETs, all that kind of stuff you run. And then those dudes just diarrhea of the mouth about their car and how awesome it is.
Yeah, man, you learn so much too, man. You learn the history of how they got here. Some of these guys have had their cars for quite some time. And so it has a lot of history with it. Memphis Lonnie. Yeah. They were struggling this week. They were scrambling big time. They were looking for anything.
And luckily those guys, Joe Costello, he's great on the mic, but he can't fill 2 hours walking out the pits. That's hard.
It's hard.
And again, if you were there, you'd have been walking the pits with him, and you may have been able to jump on the mic with him and tell stories and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. Get out to the track. That's the story. There is go to the track, visit the track.
Indeed. Yeah, man. It's been one heck of a season for the NHRA. There's a lot of drag racing going on now. It is starting to get cooler. We're starting to get in off-season mode in some areas, especially I think for some in the Northeast here next week. But there isn't much of an off-season anymore, Mike. It really isn't. It's starting to get like football where, you might have a dead few weeks, maybe a month after, really, no, not a month. It's about a few weeks. And then we're talking about free agency and the draft. So there really is no off season. There's a lot of OTAs and, a lot of workouts going on. And it's like that here with drag racing. Usually, once the Pomona's over, there's PRI, and then right after that, teams are getting ready. They're either trying to get their new equipment up and running. And now we've got this Pro Superstar Shootout. So people are getting ready for that. And before you know it, we're back to Gainesville. Yeah.
Bring it on. Bring it on. Yeah. I love it. I absolutely love that there's no downtime and it keeps people moving. Think about this. We talked about jobs earlier. We should ask Mark about this, but that allows what would have been a part-time guy that was going to race 16 weekends a year. Now he's racing maybe 25 or 28 weekends a year.
Yeah.
You'd say if you do the Pro Shootout and the Winter Series with Wes Buck and them, if you start doing that, man, that becomes a real job. That allows someone like a social media manager or something like that, a year-round job. They're not just going to 20 races a year. So I love it. And you're seeing the growth in the drag racing community, not the drag and drive, but the drag racing community total. Yeah. And cars are cool again, man. Everybody, let's live this. We're going to look back at this time. This is a golden age again, right here that we're in.
Indeed. I mean, so much racing, from the grudge racing to this, there's a big bracket racing community. You've got these drag and drives. We've got Southeast Gassers Association that's out there. There's just so much drag racing all over the place, and it's almost like it doesn't stop. It's not just NHRA. There's tons of other drag racing out there, and it's almost like it just does not stop at all. I mean, in December here at South Georgia Motorsports Park, there will be, I know Man Cup's coming back around. It's not what it used to be. It's a little bit different, but it will be out there. There's all kinds of events that still go on up close to Christmas. So it's like there's a lot of stuff that we can get into. There's not too much downtime for drag racing, and that's fun and that's good for everyone.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. That's awesome.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for taking the time to tune in to the Competition Plus Power Hour. I think this is episode 196. And Mike, thanks for taking the time out to
thank you, man. I appreciate
sit here with me and talk about drag racing. Really good.
Thank you.
Really
thank
good
you for
stuff.
having me. Thanks to Lee for the opportunity, and you obviously, but appreciate that for the chance to talk to these guys, man. I love Mark Beatty at Redline, and then first time I'd ever been, obviously on a live stream there with Buddy Hull. So super cool that experience. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you. And to everyone, we have reached our peak. And if you need to reach your peak, whether it's your car or your race car, peak antifreeze is what you should be using.
If you want to take your vehicle's performance to new heights, you got to give it P. Like our original equipment technology, antifreeze and coolant. Our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle. That's one reason why Peak is among the fastest growing brands of coolant in America. We work harder to earn the trust of people like you every day.